Beats Productions. Productions. You are listening to Daily Beats. Productions. Daily Beats Productions. You are listening to Daily Beats. Daily Beats Productions. You are listening to Daily Beats. Daily Beats Productions. Daily Beats Productions. Daily Beats Productions. Daily Beats Productions. You are listening to Daily Beats.
What up, YouTube? My name is Tiago Duarte, and welcome to another live stream. I'm here checking some of the volume. I hope you can hear me. At least I see some volume from the mic. So I hope that's correct. Let me see. Yeah. So that should work fine. I think it's a little bit loud. Let me see. Yeah, that should be better. So welcome to another live stream. My name is Tiago Duarte, and as you already know, this is the producer show. And in this live stream, I'm going to answer some of the questions that you guys throw at me, either on YouTube channel, either here in the chat or in my newsletter for the producer show. And this show or this live stream will be every Saturday at around 6 p.m. GMT plus 2. And yeah, I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to help you guys out with your questions. I have here 5 questions for today, so that should be enough to cover an entire hour. And if some questions pop up here in the chat, I will be able also to have some time to answer those questions. If you are new here, you can subscribe to the newsletter, and I have a link in the description, and you can go ahead and subscribe there. I will be sending some emails just with a form so that you can put questions there, and those questions will have priority. So if you want your questions answered, you can just subscribe to the newsletter, and I will not be sending any marketing material. Will be just information regarding the live stream and also asking your questions. So you can go ahead and subscribe there if you want. And if you want more, what's the word that I'm looking for? If you want a higher priority with your questions. And what else? What else do we have here? So today is a very, very sunny day here in Stuttgart. I went out for some to get some packages, and it was a beautiful day. And yeah, I'm here at home. I unfortunately have my window open, because if I open the window, you will see a lot of light and might ruin here the camera settings, I guess. So what else? I was also doing some mixing before. I already recorded some videos and doing some mixing, and it's a great feeling when you know that you can transform a track and make it sound amazing. I have also a couple of projects coming up, and if you guys want to work with me, just send me an email and we will see what we can do. I have a couple of projects, especially with some with a colleague in Brazil, so that should be really fun in the future. I also have some projects that are a little bit late in Portugal, so I don't have any projects here in Germany. So if you guys are listening, my German colleagues or subscribers or viewers, if you like to have a project, a collaboration, just let me know. Also, not necessarily Germany, everywhere. So what else? You can post your questions here in the chat, and I will do my best to answer the questions that you have regarding music production. I'm very fluent with FL Studio, and also Studio One is not. I'm quite new in Studio One, but I can probably answer some of the questions. If not, you will see me struggling a little bit, but that's part of the music process. It's part of growing and making sure that everything goes. It's a learning curve also. So that's it. What else? I think I had a couple of more announcements, but I will probably remember something during the live stream. If not, that's fine. And I just wanted to say that the main theme here for this channel is master the software, so that it's just you and music. And one of the things that I love when I'm making music is not thinking about software and just thinking about music. So whenever I have ideas, whenever I'm producing, everything else goes away. I just focus on the music, and it's just me and the music, nothing else. And that's a really good feeling that I have, and I want you guys to also have and share it with you. So that's the main goal of this channel, is to help you master the software so that it's just you and music. And that's why I do these live streams, so that I can help you out, figure out or answer all of your questions, so that you can understand or make progress faster, so that you can move through the struggle a little bit faster, so that you can take out all the limitations that you have in terms of software, or overcome the limitations that you have in terms of software, and then just focus on the music. Because we are, as music producers, we start producing because I guess mostly love music. So I think that's the main. It's a really cool thing to be a part of, I guess. And I have here a viewer, MC Satan or Satan. Are you using FL Studio or F Studio One Prime? So I use FL Studio for composing, for making beats, and for arrangement, remixes also, and for mastering. And then I use Studio One. I have Studio One Artist, and I use it for. By the way, let me open here Studio One. I use it for mixing. That's my. I used to use Pro Tools for mixing, but nowadays I just use Studio One because first of all, Pro Tools was giving me a lot of issues, a lot of problems, and I switched to Studio One Artist because it was just a $50 or €50 upgrade. And I mean, I have now all my VST so that I can use them to mix my own tracks. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the first question. I have a couple of questions here regarding the piano roll. So the first one is how to show the notes in the piano roll from other channels. This is a good question, and I think it's one of the things that is very helpful. So let me switch to FL Studio. So one of the things that I found here in FL Studio when I'm making music is I really like I really like to make all my compositions in one pattern, and then split that pattern into several patterns. So what I like to do basically, it's, let's say that I go here and I go to piano roll and I put here a chord, C minor, for example, and then I put another one, something like this. So let's say that I have these two chords, and what I like to do is, if I load another sound here, I like to have the ability to check these notes here, and you can see that all the notes that are from the sampler are shown here in the background. And this is very helpful, at least for me, because I'm not the best when it comes to music theory. So I have certain tools that I use here in FL Studio to help me out become a better producer. So it's kind of a crutch. I really suggest that you study music theory. It's very helpful when we want to make music. But at the same time, FL Studio provide us here with a bunch of good tools so that it can help us to make better music. So these are called ghost notes. And now that I know that I have all these chords here, I can just go ahead and put notes in between, or not in between, but I can match the notes that I was using in the other instruments, and then I can have them here with a little bit of simplicity, I guess. I can follow pretty much the same structure that I was using in the other ones. If I didn't have the ghost notes, it would be a little bit harder for me to know which notes I played in the other instruments. Sometimes it can be a little bit confusing. Also, if you have a bunch of sounds, especially drums, it can make this a little bit confusing, but it's also a good thing. And one good option of this one is you just go here, right click 2 times, and it switches to the other plugin. So this is also a very cool option that you can have here. So let's go ahead and by the way, let me show you how to enable this, which is, let's go here, view, and then you have note grid highlights. And no, actually it's not this one. Let me see, I have to select this one and go view, and where is it? Ghost notes. If I take this off, you see that the notes disappear. And now it's a little bit harder for me to follow the other notes, because I can't see. So it's at least for me, it's kind of a harder way to make music. So I really enjoy this option of seeing the ghost notes. It makes my life really, really easy when it comes to making music and music theory. So that's a really good tool that I think FL Studio has here. And so I hope that answers the question. I have here some other points from how to download FL Studio for free. Please help me. I unfortunately, I'm not sharing any links for download FL Studio anywhere besides the Image Line official website. I have an official license, and I strongly recommend you do also. I'm not going to share any free links or anything. I'm sorry. And let's go to the next question. The next question is scales in the piano roll. So this has a little bit to do with the things that I showed you, and it's really helpful to understand how to if you don't have too much music theory, you can also use these tools to help you out a little bit in terms of getting some knowledge about music theory. But also it helps you, especially with scales. It's a really, really helpful thing to have here in FL Studio, and that's why it's one of the tools that I like the most to composing, to compose, to make beats, is because of these tools, these MIDI tools. Because most of the music that I do, most of the beats that I do, they heavily use MIDI. I do also use samples, but most of the times I create my own samples, and those are based on MIDI. So I first record something with my keyboard, and then I sample that sound and reuse it in the track. So that's something that I like to do here. And let's go ahead and create a new project so that I can show you how to do that in FL Studio, how to work with scales in the piano roll. By the way, guys, if you have any questions, you can just leave questions to in the chat, and I will answer them. So that's it. Let's go here to let's open up a piano. Okay, so in this piano, I can probably show you a little bit better in terms of scales. Then you can listen to some of the scales. So as you can see here, I hope you can in the stream. I'm not sure if the quality is good enough, but as you can see, I have some lighter and darker colors here. And usually you have white and black keys on the keyboard. But as you can see, this one is a little bit lighter than this row here. And this, if we follow, then we have a white one, and this is light. And then we have another black one, and this is light. And then we have a white, and this now is dark, or darker. And why do we have here? The thing is that this represents a scale. And you can follow the scales based on this lighting scheme. So the lighter parts of the track, as you can see, so this would be part of the scale, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this and that one. So this will be the scale of C minor, C melodic minor. So how can we change the scale? You will see that this highlighting will change based on the scale that we have selected. So if we go here to the menu and we go to view, we go here to scale highlighting. And as you can see, we have C minor melodic. Let's go to C major, for instance. And you see now the highlighting change. So now for the C major scale, we have this one, this one, this one, this one, this, and this. So you can see that there are differences now. And the highlighting here with the lighter and darker color indicates the scale. So if you are making some beats, this is really helpful. So let's say that you want to work with a major scale. Instead of memorizing the major scale, which is at least the C major is the simple one, which is all the white notes or all the white keys. But we don't necessarily have to memorize this, especially with the harder scales. When we start to go, for instance, to let's go here. We have all these scales: pentatonic, harmonic, Hungarian, and Arabic, blues. All these scales sometimes is kind of hard for us to know if we are not trained in classical music or classical music theory. That's kind of hard. So what I like to do usually is to just change the scaling, and that really helps me make the correct notes. So it's really important that all the instruments are in the same scale so that they sound harmonious with each other. So now that I know what are the highlighting here, I can say, okay, so now I just want a C major note. That should be this one. Let me go one octave higher. You see? Now I have this one. And now let's say I want another one. I want to do C minor. And you saw that I had this one here. If I do this, let's play. It also sounds good. But if we follow the scale, this should be here and not there. So let's go one up here. Okay, and let's do another one. And you can see that I always put the notes in the lighter sections here, or the lighter notes. So let's listen this one, and let's change then some of the notes, and you will see that it doesn't sound that good. So this one sound harmonious, and let's make this one, I think this one was here, and this one here. So let's listen with this in the wrong places. You see, this one didn't sound that good. This one actually sounded good, but this one here kind of sounded a little bit off. You know, so what we can do is you can always switch. We could work with this. It could be something that we want, but if we are going to follow the scale, we have to always put the notes in the lighter rows or in the lighter keys, so that we have we are within the scale. Okay, so that's it in terms of scales. And of course, you can always go here and you can, where is it? View. We can always go here, scale highlighting, and change the root note, and also change the scale. And this is very powerful. It's one of the tools that I use all the time whenever I'm setting up a project or starting a beat. And one thing that you can also do is you can just, it's also a good exercise. You can say, okay, today I'm going to make a G minor track, or a track in the G minor scale. So you can start with, even without starting any chords or anything, you can just go here, G, and then select minor. So we can do that. And where is it? Here. And melodic minor. And we can start making tracks. We can start making some of the chords. Let's see if this sounds good. No. Okay, let me put this one up. No. Okay, I don't like this too much. Okay, this maybe sounds a little bit better. And then we can maybe go something like this. Okay, this is just an example, but you can see that as long as we follow the highlightings here with the lighter sections, it makes the track stay inside of the scale, and it helps us to make a little bit more. It helps us to be in the scale, which is really cool. So I hope that answered the question. Let's see, we have some other comments here. Mr. Shakun official, congratulations, bro. I'm waiting for a video for a long time. You're welcome. Welcome to the chat or to the live stream. Hello, sir. Hello. Sir, keys sound darker. Yes, they do. So thanks for the comments. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the chat. And after I finish the questions that I have here, I've already replied to 2. I have 3 more, and I will answer your questions too. And basically, these live streams, I will be doing these live streams every Saturday. So if you don't have questions today, you can join next Saturday, and you can ask your questions or start saving your questions, and then come in Saturdays and join the live stream and ask your questions here. I will be doing this live stream every Saturday at around 6 p.m. GMT +2, which is the Berlin time. So you can always Google it to see the difference in the time zones from the place where you are located and from the time that I'm located. I'm based on Stuttgart, so Germany. So that's the time that I have here. It's GMT +2. And what else? If you want your questions with a higher priority, I have a link in the description for the newsletter, and you can subscribe to the newsletter. And I think around Friday, I will be sending a Google form that you can go and ask questions there. So those forms will have a higher priority. I will start the chat or the live stream with questions from that. So if you want to have your questions with a higher priority here in the stream, you can just subscribe to the newsletter, and I will be not sending any marketing material or any products or anything. It will be just the forms so that you can ask your questions, and also information regarding the live stream. If for some reason I cannot do a live stream on Saturday, I will be informing you guys through the newsletter. So that's a cool way for you to have your questions answered. Just a second, I need a sip of water. What else? I think that's it. The live stream, in terms of announcements, the live stream, the newsletter, and yeah. So today is a beautiful day. I'm really sweating already. It's really hot outside. I went in the morning to get some packages in the street in Stuttgart, and it was a really nice day. I really love summer, but the downside is that I start sweating here, especially with this light. I have this light, and it's really hot in here. So yes, it is what it is. Sir, which keys sound darker and aggressive? Okay, that depends. You can make kind of dark music with every scale, I guess. But I would say that minor scales are a little bit more moody, a little bit more. I would not say aggressive, but are a little bit more mellow, I guess, more moody. And major scales are a little bit more happy. And yeah, I would say you can see here, for example, the example that I had on FL Studio. So this is kind of more like a mellow type of vibe. If I switch here from G to G major, and now I change the keys around so that they match the thing here. Yeah, now I have to do something. Let me see, maybe here. As you can see, it still sounds a little bit happy, even with or mellow, even with a major scale. But let's see. Let's go to, for instance, to C major. As we saw before, C major is a very happy. So whenever I'm in the mood for happy chords or happy, for a more happy vibe, I would go with a major scale. Yeah, we are already here. See, it's a little bit more happy. Let me see. Oops. Let me just make this. So you see, it's a little bit more a happy vibe. If I go, for instance, to C minor, and let's go here, C melodic minor, and then I have to move some of these notes around. Yeah, this is a so as you can see, it depends. You can make darker and aggressive track or aggressive tracks with pretty much every key, I guess. I've never tried, but I would say so. But yeah, I mean, I would say that major keys, I would go for major keys when I'm more happy or when I want a happier vibe. But if I want a more moody and darker vibe, I would go for maybe minor keys. But it depends. You can pretty much do whatever you want. Please make a tutorial on full song. I mean, I have a bunch of tutorials on the channel where I make music from start to finish. I have rap from start to finish. I have trap from start to finish. I have techno from start to finish, both in Portuguese and in English. I don't know if you understand Portuguese, but in English I have a bunch of tutorials. And this live stream is only for questions. Is to answer your questions. It's not to make full videos or full tracks. For that you can check the channel. I have a bunch of tutorials. I have around 400 tutorials, so you see that I have a bunch of stuff. I have lo-fi to melodic to hard to jazz to melodic beats. I don't know, I'm even repeating funky beats. I have a bunch of stuff. You just can search on the channel. Yes, with vocals, that depends. Sometimes in techno tracks I have vocals, but in beats I cannot sing in English, or I can sing but I don't write in English. If you guys want me to mix some of your tracks that you might have, just send them over and I will be mixing them here in the channel. But besides that, I don't sing in English. I can sing, but I don't have lyrics. It's hard for me to write lyrics in English, so I can't do start to finish with my own lyrics. I will probably do a video in the future, like a rap from start to finish with some lyrics, but that's probably for the future, not for now. But yeah, you can find a lot of tutorials about music, about how to record audio, and that's actually something that I have today. It's actually the next question is how to record audio in FL Studio. So to record audio in FL Studio, it's kind of hard. It's one of the least favorite things that I like here in FL Studio, because it's really hard to record audio in FL Studio. It's not the most smooth process, I guess, and it's really one of the things that it made me switch to different DAWs for mixing and recording. It's because of the workflow here in FL Studio for audio recording. I really don't like it. I think it doesn't help in terms of workflow. It's really messy sometimes, and that's why I went to other DAWs for mixing and recording. So I think the other DAWs like Studio One, for instance, I can show you here Studio One. DAWs like Studio One, where we have, let's create a new song just for things like this. And we can have a track here or 4, and you just hit record here. I don't want volume here, but you see that you just hit record and you have the voice here. So if I now start recording, you see that my voice is recording. I stop and I have here a recording of my voice. This is really, really simple. You just add a track, hit record, and then you hit the record button. In FL Studio, it's not like that. In FL Studio, let's go to FL Studio. In FL Studio, you don't have that concept here of tracks because here, if you open the playlist, we have 500 tracks here already set up. So there's no track concept here. It's kind of all over the place a little bit, and I think it's not the most easy process or easy workflow to work with. So let's try to record something here in FL Studio so that I can show you how to do. And so let's think. The first thing that you have to do is to arm a track for recording. And how can we do that? We don't have any track here that says recording, and that's kind of a little bit counterintuitive. So what we have to do, we have to start in the mixer. And the first thing that we have to do is we have to select a track that we want. We can select one of the, I think, 99 tracks, or no, 125 tracks that we have available, and we can select one of them. For instance, this one, and we have to go here to this menu, and we have click here, and then it will show us how many inputs we have. We can select both input 1 and input 2 for a stereo recording, but in this case, I have my microphone here that you can see. So this microphone is just one input and is in input 1. So if I go here and I click input 1, you will hear some feedback. And as you can see, so I have now, it's kind of hard to talk like that. So let me take the routing here. And if I reset this, you see that my voice also plays here. So the way you now record is you have to first set here the input of the track. And after you have this input, you have to go to the playlist. Let's make this a little bit shorter. And you have to be able to select here, or you have to select this knob here. And if I click here, it shows me this pop-up window. It says audio into Edison, audio editor / recorder, or audio into the playlist as an audio clip. So basically we have here two options to record audio. We can either record from this channel here directly into Edison, or we can record it into the playlist as an audio clip. I don't think I ever used this option, to be honest. I always use this one here, audio into the playlist as an audio clip. I don't know. It's just the one that makes more sense to me. So let's say that I want to record audio in the playlist. I click here and it automatically starts the playback. And starts the recording. So if I click here, it will start recording audio. And now if I start talking, you see that if I start talking, you see it's kind of all over the place because it starts making a loop of the track. So already you can see that this is not very smooth. It's kind of all over the place because in Studio One, for instance, I click recording and it starts recording until I hit stop. In FL Studio, automatically made a loop, and I don't like this workflow. I don't like to set up first. Okay, now I need to first set up the length of the thing that I want to record, and then hit record. So let's do that. As you can see, now that I record, my voice shows up, but it will loop at the end of the loop. So whenever it reaches here 16, it will start again and it will create a new entry here. I kind of see the point of this if you want to record like a chorus and you have something that you want to overdub or record several times. But I mean, it's just a little bit confusing. As you can see now that I record, it enables this one and then that one. It's kind of, I don't know. it's not the best workflow for me to record. So that's how you record in FL Studio. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's kind of strange. Another thing that is kind of strange is if you don't have this channel selected. So let's say that I go here, I have other things in the mix, and I just move some knobs, you know, like this. And now I have this knob select, or this track here, this insert in the mixer selected. Now if I go to record again, as you can see now, okay, so this actually is something that they fixed. But because I've not recorded in FL Studio for a while, but before, what would happen is that it would select this track here, and it will make this track, it would make me select something for this track. And I think I can replicate that. So let's say that I remove the recording. This track is still armed for recording here with this knob here, as you can see. Let's say that I mix something here in the track, but I have this one selected. Let's see if this will ask me for the thing that I don't like. If I hit record in the playlist, okay, so you can see, please select an audio input first. So I don't have, this is kind of, let me take out the audio from FL Studio. And as you can see, now it didn't record automatically. And this one here, which was record enabled, now it made this track record enable. I don't like that. What I like to do is I can change whatever I like, but whenever I hit record, it will record only the ones that I enabled, but this doesn't happen. And if I click here, it tells me here, okay, now select one of the options. And if I select option 1, it starts to record again, and it records both this one and this one here. And I don't like this, to be honest. Let me take this off and enable FL Studio. I don't like this. This is really, really counterintuitive because usually, let's say here in Studio One, let's say that I have this one armed for selection, and I go in this one, and by the way, let me take this out. And I go here, I select this track, I move the volume in this one and whatever, and I have track 4 selected. If I hit record, it starts recording only on that one, because that's the one that armed for recording. And that's why I now don't use FL Studio for recording audio, because it's kinda a little bit of a pain. It's really, really not intuitive. So you saw that it doesn't recognize that this track is armed for recording, and automatically makes this track armed for recording, even though I didn't ask it. So yeah, that's why I don't like to use FL Studio for recording. But if you have to, that's the way you should do. You can also record in Edison. So let's go and let's do that. Edison, you don't have this time limit. So you can also open up Edison automatically here with MISC Edison. And you just have to, you see that we have audio input here. You just have to select one of the options. You can say just on input and start recording things. And it automatically starts recording. Whenever I want to stop this, I just hit here stop, or I click on the record button, and it automatically stops. The good thing is that this goes forever. I think it goes until like 4 hours or something like that. I don't know. It has a limit, but I'm not sure which limit it is. But I can just hit here, and now it stops. So if I play this, let me see. Let me take the audio input, and let's listen to this one. Start recording things, and it automatically starts recording. So, and then you can just drag this and bring it to the playlist, which, I don't know, it's a little bit, you see that it's not intuitive. It's not a very simple thing to just follow, like for instance in Studio One, where I just arm the track for recording, and then I hit record and starts recording. In the FL Studio, it's kind of a little bit, you have to jump through some hoops to get the recording. But again, if you have no other DAW, And if you are kind of stuck in FL Studio, you can definitely record. I've done recordings in the past. I have made some really dope songs in the past with FL Studio alone, from composing to recording to mixing and mastering. It's possible, but that's one of the things that I say here in the channel is like I use several DAWs because of that. I have DAWs that give me certain workflows and that I want, that I'm comfortable with, and that I'm fast with. So I use FL Studio for composing, making beats, making arrangements. If I have to make a remix, I just drag the vocals or the sounds that I want and make a remix on that. If I want to mix something and record audio, I just go to Studio One, because that gives me a more it's more intuitive for mixing, and I'm faster there. So that's why I use several DAWs, and that's how you can incorporate several DAWs in your workflow. And the time that it takes me to export everything, for instance, I make a beat in FL Studio and then I go to Studio One to make the mixing. The time that it takes me to export the stems, load them into Studio One, it's more than okay. How can I say? The time that it takes me to do that, it's far better to invest that time for me, invest that time in doing that step than to mix inside of FL Studio, if that makes sense. So I prefer to take that extra time of exporting everything and then importing in Studio One, because the time that I'm going to mix in Studio One will be way more faster for me. And I would probably, instead of making a mix in 40 minutes or 50, I would in FL Studio, it would take me like 1 hour and 10, 1 hour and 20, or 1 hour and a half. So the time that it takes me to export every single track and then import it into Studio One at the end is less than what it would take me to mix in FL Studio, if that makes sense. I hope so. So that's it. Let me see here in the chat. Okay, sir, can I send you my FLP? Yeah, go ahead. My email is info@dailybeats.pt. So you can send me your FLP if you have vocals, if you have anything, and yeah, and probably you can send me through WeTransfer. It's called WeTransfer, and make sure that you have all of the. If you want to send me FLPs, I don't have all the plugins in the market. So if you have plugins that are not used, they are not FL Studio native, you have to export the tracks and you have to make a loop of that track. So it's very important, because if you send me files, if you send me an FLP and I don't have the plugins, it will not show here in my system, and I cannot do anything with that. So it's kind of, let's say you have one plugin that I don't have, which is Serum. It's a very popular plugin. If your track has all the instruments or all the instruments in the track are made with Serum, if I open it up here, I will have nothing. It will show a red block or a red instrument saying that you don't have this plugin, so you cannot play anything. So it's very important. If you have plugins that are not FL Studio native, you have to export a loop. And to export a loop is very simple. You can go here and let's say, let me make a new project so that we can clear this out. Let's say that I make a pattern here, and you can just go here. Let's do that actually, just for you to see. Let's open up a piano. Let's make here some notes. So let's say that you have this melody. What you can do is go here to this drop-down menu and quick render as audio clip. You click here and it automatically creates a track like this. And if we here, so I need this if you are going to send me your projects. It's very important, otherwise I cannot do anything with the project, and it will be the same as not sending me anything. So it's important. Another thing that you have to be careful of is if you use samples. because if you use, let's say you use a drum kick from one of your sample libraries, I probably will not have it. So what you can do is go here, save, and save, where is it? Okay, so here, project, zipped loop package. So this will make a zip file with all of your sounds inside of the FL Studio. So let's say that you have sounds in a kick sound that you imported from your library. It will include that sound. Again, it will not include VSTs. So if you have VSTs, you have to go here and quick render as audio clip so that I can get your sounds correctly. Otherwise, I cannot do anything with it. And yeah, let me see the other question here. So thanks for your questions in the chat. I see more activity in the chat. I really appreciate that. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the chat and I will do my best to answer. What else do we have here? How to sync loops with the grid. So this is one of the latest features of FL Studio, which I really, really like and I appreciate that they had here. So one of the things that I really enjoy about Ableton Live, is that you can drag and drop a sound, a loop, and then you can micro adjust the loop to make it stick to the grid. And in FL Studio, again, it's not the easiest thing to do. It's possible, but again, it's a little bit limited, mainly because of the workflow. You don't have the option available right inside of the tool. You have to use a plugin, extra plugin. So let me show you how to do that. Let's go to FL Studio. And let's say that I have here a loop. Let's use one of the loops in FL Studio. Let me actually put this at 92, something like that. I think they had here some. Okay, this one here. Let's go with this one. So I can load this loop here, and you see it already has some markers. Okay, sounds good. So what we can do here now is we can right click here in the loop and it says edit in audio editor. This is helpful if you want to extract just a single sound. So you can right click and open it here in audio editor. And now we have this edit in time warper. So let's click here. And this one opens up new time. So what we can do here, it's very, very cool. And as you can see here, some of the notes or some of the let me just open this a little bit so that we can see it a little bit better. Okay, so let's zoom in here in one of these notes. This is a snare. So let me see if I can, yeah. So this is a snare, but you can see in the same grid here that we have in the playlist, we have these lines, these black lines, and these are the grid. So if I change these to step mode, you can see that we have some grids here that align, tells us that we are in the grid, and this is the smaller steps. The same thing happens here in new time. You can see that if I make this shorter, we see that it's a little bit off time. It's not ending on the 4 here. What we can do is we can adjust this here, some of these notes. I don't know if this will, let me see, how can we do this? I don't know if I can select everything. Okay, you can select everything and then just make it, for instance, at 3 bars, but I want 4. So now if I play, this should be more in time. Actually, this has to be 5. Okay, something like this, so that it stays in the grid. So if I go now and, oops, if I look here, you see that the 2 now starts in the correct position. And these ones are all in the right position here. So if you have a loop, you can see actually this is not in the right position. It goes a little bit afterwards. So what we can do is just click on this line here and then just put it in the place. You see? And we can go through every single part of the loop, and we can move it. We can actually put it a little bit further. Let's put it there, and let's listen to the beat. Okay, let me put it in. Why this is 60? I don't know. I don't get it. This should be aligned with the tempo. Yes. Okay, I think I know why. Because this should be 3. Let's see here now. Okay, that's it. Let's make a loop. You see this one here, we moved it from here. And let's move this one here, and let's move the last snare also here. You see the difference? And now let's bring this to the playlist, and let's see the difference. You see now that the snares that I moved to the next step, now they showed here. And you can pretty much do the manipulation here in a new time. But again, it's a third, or not a third, but it's a plugin that you have to use. It's not something that you can just go here in the playlist and change. You can do time manipulation. We can just align everything. Here we have to do it in, we have to do it in new time. And it's a really cool feature. I really appreciate the fact that FL Studio took the time to add this to the plugin set. But again, it's something that it's an extra thing. Okay, so take some time. You can also watch some image line tutorials. They have some really cool tutorials about new time whenever they launch the latest version. And it's a really cool thing to watch. Let's go now back to the last question that I have here. And the last question is how to set up audio devices. So first of all, let's talk a little bit of what are audio devices. Audio device, the name that it's a little bit self-explanatory in the name. It's a device that handles audio in the computer. Let's have an analogy. What is a graphics card? It's a device, it's a card, a physical thing that you put inside of your computer in the motherboard, so that it can handle video better. So the better the audio card, the better the video card, the better the frame rate and the processing that you can do in the video cards or in your PC. The same goes for audio. Even though audio doesn't have the same requirements as a video card has, but audio is pretty much the same. What it is an audio card or an audio device. It's something that you either put inside of your computer, or you connect it via USB or Thunderbolt or whatever connection there is. And it's a device that handles audio in a higher quality than your built-in system in the motherboard. So it's really, really important. If you are new to music production, one of the first things that you have to consider is to buy an audio device or audio card. And that card normally has some drivers. And basically everything in Windows works with drivers. So if you connect something to your computer, either a mouse, either a keyboard, a piano, audio device, a video card, they need something called a device driver, which is a piece of software that runs in the kernel of Windows. And that piece of software has all the functions necessarily to communicate with that device and hand over data to the kernel, to the operating system, and to the device. So it manages the communication between the operating system and the device itself. So that's a device driver. And it's very important to have the correct one selected. And what you can have in FL Studio is that you can have multiple devices, audio devices in your system. For instance, I have my Focusrite. I have also PreSonus USB audio, and I still have this. Let me see if I can show you. I don't want to unplug this right now because it might crash my system. And what we have also, I have here a Zoom H1N device. And basically, you have all these devices connected to the system, and those have a device driver. And what you can do in FL Studio is select which device you want to communicate with. So if you have 2 or 3 audio devices in your system, you can inform FL Studio and say, hey, FL Studio, please communicate directly to the device number 1 or device number 2 or device number 3 or whatever device you have in your system. So let's go ahead and see how can we do that in FL Studio. So I hope that was, at least the device thing was understanding, that you could understand what a device driver is or an audio device. So now if I go here to FL Studio, I have here the options. And if I select audio devices or audio settings, you can see that I have here something called device. If I click here, you see that I have a bunch of devices here. I have Audio for All, I add Audio Box, FL Studio ASIO, and Focusrite USB ASIO. Because I'm doing this screen recording, I need to have FL Studio ASIO, but my preferred way to use FL Studio is the Focusrite USB ASIO. Why? Because this communicates directly with my device driver or my audio interface. So whenever I want to communicate with my interface, I use this Focusrite. If I really want good performance, if I'm not recording anything with the OBS or something like that, I just go here and select Focusrite. The other times I use FL Studio ASIO because that's the device driver that I need to record video so that you can listen what I'm doing here in FL Studio. So that's basically it. You will probably, if you don't have a Focusrite or a PreSonus device, you will not see these ones here. You will have different devices. So you have to select your device, and after you select your device, it will show here, you have to select the buffer length. So if I open this up, you see that for FL Studio ASIO, we have different buffer sizes and also inputs here. So I defined in my system the default inputs that I wanted, and both the default input and default output, they are my Focusrite USB. That's why whenever I record something, it automatically detects that my inputs are from the Focusrite. That's why I use that. The second thing that you have, or the first thing that you have to be careful of, is the length of the buffer. You can see this here, that with a 384 sample size, I have 9 milliseconds of latency. If I'm in the mood for mixing something, I would go for a higher sample buffer length. So if I select 1024, you see that I have now 24 milliseconds. This is not good for instance, for recording MIDI with my keyboard, but it's good for mixing because it reduces my CPU load. If I want a really fast response and I'm not worried about mixing, I go for 256. And you see now that I only have like 6 milliseconds of latency, which means that whenever I click my keyboard, my MIDI keyboard, I click and in 6 milliseconds, the data is sent to FL Studio. So it's very fast and it's really, really cool to have. So if you have higher latencies, what it happens is that your audio might not get synced. So it might be 24, let's say this one, 24 milliseconds delayed. And this can cause a really big impact in your recordings and the way they are synced with your beat or the thing that, or with the rest of the tracks. So this can cause problems. But mostly, if you are just mixing, you are not thinking about recording anything, you can go with higher values here. If you are thinking about mixing, you can go with lower values here. And also, if you feel some dropouts like clicks and pops in your track, you can go for a higher sample rate or sample size, sorry. And yeah, so I think that's it, guys. It's been 1 hour and something, 1 hour and 5 minutes, and my voice is getting a little bit rough right now. It's too much talking. I appreciate all of you that joined. I appreciate all of the comments in the chat, and I hope to see you again next week. Again, I will be doing these live streams every Saturday at around 6 p.m. GMT +2, which is the Berlin time. I'm located in Stuttgart, so if you want to see what time is your time difference or the time difference between my time zone and your time zone, you can just Google time in Stuttgart and you will figure it out. And I will be answering all of your questions here in these live streams. In the future, I also want to have some producers. I want to invite some influencers to join the live stream so that I can give you a little bit more interesting content. But that's for the future. Right now, I'm thinking my idea is to build the community here, build awareness for this live stream, and when we start to have more people joining the live stream, then I will think about inviting people to join the live stream. And also you can put here some recommendations of people that you would like to see in the live streams that I can talk about music production to answer your questions. If you want your questions with a higher priority, I will have a link in the description with the newsletter so that you can go subscribe to the newsletter. And every Friday or so, I will be sending a Google form that you can just put your questions there. If you put your questions there, they will have a higher priority here in the channel compared with the chat. So if you have questions that you really want to get answer, just subscribe to the newsletter and I will be sending the forms and you can put all of your questions there. And I will not be sending any marketing materials, any product materials or anything. It will be just information about the live stream. And what else? I think that's it, guys. Again, the idea for this channel is that you master the software so that it's just you and music. I think that's the most beautiful feeling in the world whenever you remove all of the limitations that you have in terms of software and you just think about music when you open FL Studio or whatever DAW you use, and it's just you and the music. I think for me that's the thing that's the best feeling that I have, and it automatically removes all the problems that I have. It takes away everything. It's just me and the music in that moment, and that's why I spend so much time making music, because it's kind of a escape from, I would not say escape from reality because I have nothing to escape from, but because I face my problems and I face my issues the best that I can. But it's kind of I don't know. It's a place where everything goes away. It's just me and something that I love, which is music, and that's something that I would like to pass you, and I would like you to feel that feeling if you really like music like I do. Which, if you are watching this live stream or my videos, you probably do. So that's it, and that's why I do this live stream, so that I can help you answer your questions. And what else? I think that's it, guys. This was fun. This was really cool. I really like to see the chat growing, and I really like to see all of your comments and all of your questions in the chat. So be sure to don't be shy and say hi in the chat. Thanks for joining. Thanks for viewing, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.